Caitlin, and this is my intimidating TBR book tag. I found this through Jesse the Reader, and there's a total of several questions. Well, I don't know the exact amount because I didn't count, but the first is a book that you've been unable to finish, and that is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I started this, I'm in chapter 37, and I cannot, for the life of me, finish this. Because for some reason, I just can't get past it. I can't get through it. It's slow and agonizing. But I want to, and I will finish this eventually. The next is a book that you haven't read because you don't have enough time. And I actually have two. The first is Blue Bloods by Melissa De La Cruz. I bought this from my local library, obviously for 50 cents. I want this book to be read, but I don't have time because I'm in school. So there's that reason. And my next is actually The Princess Bride by William Goldman. I've had this book forever. This is the 30th anniversary edition. Its cover is really beautiful. And I really, really, really want to read this, but I just don't have time because of school. The next is a book you haven't read because it's a sequel. And that is actually These by Kim Harrison. This is book 4, this is book 7. This one I got first, this one I got later. And I haven't even read the first, books. I want to start the series, but I just don't have the money to buy the whole series. And I do plan on buying them all like this. My older brother bought me this one, but I didn't quite realize that, oh yeah, this is book 7. The next is a book that you haven't read because it's brand spanking new. That would be The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I bought this from my local library. It's a Target exclusive. I bought this for like 50 cents or $1 or something like that. I've never read it, and that is why it's on this as the brand spanking new, because it is in perfect condition. It is beautiful. I love this cover. And the inside is just as beautiful. I really want to read this though. A book that you haven't read because you read another book by this author and you didn't enjoy it so much, and is causing you to be hesitant about reading this book. And that is Flight, book 2 in the Septimus Heap series. I read book 1. I did not like book 1. It was a very slow read. I have it somewhere in paperback. I have book 3 as well. And I really, really am hesitant to read this because I didn't like book 1, and I'm hoping this one turns out to be better than book 1 when I do get around to reading it. This is actually a kids series, a middle grade series actually. I want to read this, but it'll be a while. The next is a book that you're just not in the mood for, and this is actually a local library book. I'm not showing the library barcode because it says where I lived. I checked this out from my library, and every time I try to read this, I can't get past page 1 or 2, and I really, really, really want to read this, but I'm not in the mood for it now. So yeah, there's that. A book you haven't read because it's humongous. That's the next book, and that would be The Complete Tales and Poems by Edgar Allan Poe. This book is huge. I've read a few of his poems, but I want to read this whole thing. I've had this for several years. I love Edgar Allan Poe's works. They're dark, but they are wonderful. My favorite just so happens to be The Raven. Yeah, that's this. Book you haven't read because you bought it because of the cover and you read some mixed reviews, and there were a lot of mixed reviews. That would actually be this, The Serpent Shadow by Rick Riordan. This is book 3 in the Kane Chronicles. I haven't actually read any of these books. I hear they're good, but I also don't know if they're good, so that kind of makes me nervous. So there's that. And the other one is Prince of Shadows by Rachel Kane. I love Rachel Kane's series books. I want to read all of her books eventually, because I've read her entire Morgan the Vampire series, and the cover on this is beautiful. It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing here, I think. And yeah, I'm going to read this eventually. So yeah. And the most intimidating book on my TBR, once again for the same reason that the barcode is being covered, is A Shadow Bright and Burning by Jessica Cluess. I am kind of hesitant to read this, even though many of those that I follow on YouTube have read this or want to read this, and I hear it's pretty good. It's actually the first book in a series, and I really, really, really want to read it, but it's kind of making me nervous. So there's that. The next is who do I tag, and I don't tag anybody. Whoever wants to do this video is free to do this video. I'm not going to force you to though, so there's that.